This is Miriam Knight from New Consciousness Review. It's my great pleasure to interview Don Miguel Ruiz, a revered wisdom teacher, Toltec master, and the author of many books, including The Four Agreements, The Mastery of Love, The Voice of Knowledge, and his newest book, The Fifth Agreement, written with his son, Don Jose. The Four Agreements has been a constant bestseller since it came out in 1997, and I think that's because it offers a beautifully simple guide for living in harmony with yourself and with others. The Fifth Agreement came out last December, December 2009, and it shot to the top of the New Consciousness Review bestseller list, where it has been for the past 2 months. Don Miguel, why did you wait so long to bring out the Fifth Agreement, and what does it add to the other four?
Well, the Fifth Agreement exists, obviously, when I was teaching the Four Agreements, but I don't think it was the time to release the Fifth Agreement. You know, the Four Agreements is like I have a teacher in your pocket. You know, it's an act of power that I put myself in this book, and by showing what is the impeccability of the word, that little book is so easy to understand. It doesn't matter who is reading it. It doesn't matter if it's someone that never went to school or is the most intelligent people. They talk directly to the heart of the person who is reading it. Then it's completely different for each one, even that is just a simple book. Then when you read these Four Agreements that come directly from human integrity, it's just pure common sense, that you see yourself, you see where you are in your life, you see how happy or unhappy you are, and it make a challenge for you to break all agreements that make you unhappy. Then you start practicing, and when you read it maybe 6 months later, it's like as you're reading a completely different book. But it's not the book, the one who changed. The book is exactly the same. The one who changed is the one who read the Four Agreements. And now it can go a little deeper, the challenges are a little deeper, and they can see that their life is changing. Then if they read it a year later or 2 years later, they will find out that it's a completely different book, but the book is exactly the same. You know, I give life to this book as an act of power. I put myself, then I am that book. And this book is meant to be with the ones who just start changing their life, who just start getting the awareness. And when they change that awareness, they cannot stop anymore. They want more and more and more, and becomes more and more authentic. Then we can say that the Four Agreements is like the initiation to a beautiful and wonderful mystery school. Could be from Egypt, India, Greece, Christian, Buddhist, anyone. Is exactly the same. Of course, the only that will differ will be the difference in the mythologies, but it's exactly the same. Now, the Fifth Agreement is the end of the preparation. Is when you already practice all these Four Agreements and you're changing your life, but you still have that conflict in your mind. The conflict that many religions and many philosophies say that is a conflict between good and evil. Well, good and evil is just the result of the real conflict, as we see already in my other books and many others authors. The real conflict is between the truth and lies, and the result is good or evil. And if we can say evil is the result to believe in all those lies, and the degree of evil will be depends how much faith they invest in all those lies. That all those lies can take into injustice, into violence, into war, into big human disasters that humans create when in the confrontation with other humans. Then with the Fifth Agreement is the end of that conflict. And the Fifth Agreement, as you see, is be skeptical but not as a social position, not coming from a personal importance to say, you see, I'm so intelligent and will not believe whatever they say. No, this is not true. This is not the real fifth agreement. Fifth agreement is be skeptical, but learn to listen. And be skeptical because we already know that just like us, everybody else create their own reality. They create their own world, which is a virtual reality, and they invest all their faith in that world. Okay?
Yeah.
Then with that fifth agreement, which means be skeptical, learn to listen. Be skeptical is don't believe me. Don't believe yourself, and don't believe anybody else.
And would that be because you talk about the power of words as symbols that get their meaning by general agreement, and it's so interesting to observe people using the same words to mean very different things. Politicians, for example. Would you say this is how conflict arises, and is this where the fifth agreement becomes so very important?
Well, it is important because once that you learn to